The AA-12 is the worst weapon in Escape from Tarkov. You might make the argument that the Taz or the 9mm revolver are less effective and therefore worse, and you would be correct. Those weapons are bad, but I view them more as silly because they are intentionally bad. They were never meant to be good, viable options. They were always meant to be either scav weapons or meme weapons. The AA-12, however, is seemingly meant to be a viable and effective weapon, yet it is outclassed by cheaper options across the board. On Factory, a very close quarters map, of course it was effective, but that feels like encouraging results. I wanted to see if this weapon could be used on other maps, and if I'm being honest, the results were kind of depressing. Before we discuss its performance, let's talk about the weapon itself. The AA-12 Gen 1 can be purchased from Skier Loyalty level 4 after completing a quest. It has the ergonomics of a brick, shoots a tragic 330 rounds per minute, and has sights that are... wow. Barely usable. If you want a scope that isn't made up of 2 fence posts, then you need the AA-12 Gen 2, which can be bartered from Skier after completing yet another task. This barter is typically upwards of 300,000 rubles. The gun still sucks, you just have a better sight on it now, but even then, the sight is mounted so far back that it takes up your entire screen, and aiming still sucks. Sorry, but I don't really feel like taking a second mortgage out on my hideout just so I can get scope punched by a red dot. The AA-12 does have the merit of its 20-round magazines, which, can you shut the f- The AA-12 does have the merit of its 20-round magazines, which cannot be purchased from any traders, but they are pretty cheap on the flea market. Then again, they're only cheap because no one really wants to use this weapon. The fairly slow rate of fire absolutely cripples the AA-12. In other shotguns, such as the MP-153, Flechette and Piranha are the go-to rounds because of their ability to shred through armor. Unfortunately, even at close range, it takes 2 to 3 shells to get through the more commonly used armors. Beyond 10 to 15 meters, it will probably take more. This means that the ability to put hatred down range quickly is paramount. The full auto on the AA-12 is slower than simply spam clicking with these other semi-automatic shotguns. As a result, Piranha and Flechette both feel much less consistent when fired from an AA-12. You could try using slugs, but again, good luck aiming with those irons or that scope pressed that far into your face, so I recommend using Magnum buckshot. Now, let's talk about my experience actually using this weapon. I'm not saying it's completely worthless. Magnum buckshot out of anything is still terrifying. No matter where you hit somebody, they are not doing well. If you hit them in the legs, they cannot walk. If you hit them in the arms, they are a double amputee, and all it takes is one pellet to the dome, and that's a wrap. On interchange, the stores and relatively cramped hallways made it fairly easy to get close enough to people and just dump hatred at them. It was also very effective against the hordes of scavs on that map. On streets, it worked fairly well in the cramped quarters of the buildings. But if I'm being honest, each of these successes was a fairly big surprise because typically, things didn't work out that well. The final nail in the coffin is the existence of another weapon that takes everything the AA-12 has to offer and just does it better. The more astute of you will probably notice that I have not mentioned the Saiga 12 once this video, and that's because to do so nullifies any reason for the AA-12 to be used in Tarkov. In my opinion, the Saiga 12 is one of the more underappreciated weapons in this game. Sure, everyone is gushing over the full auto Saiga now that it has been added, but I feel like most of the community views it as a factory stomper, when in reality, it's very effective on a lot of different maps. When compared to the AA-12, even the standard Saiga, not the full auto one, the semi-automatic Saiga 12 has a higher rate of fire, better ergo, better recoil, better accessibility, better modularity, and it's cheaper. You could give me a stock Saiga 12 that just has a scope and a 10-round magazine on it, and I would still be more confident than I was with the AA-12. I think it's best to run the Saiga 12 on semi-auto, but if you really want that full auto option, then just get the full auto Saiga. The barter is still cheaper than a Gen 1 AA-12, coming in at about 110,000 rubles. Unfortunately, the Saiga 12 is just better in every single way. The only niche advantage that the AA-12 has over the Saiga is that since it is an open bolt weapon, it cannot jam in Escape from Tarkov. This is what allows it to dump Magnum Buck constantly without any fear of overheating or jamming. Now, this is a fairly cool feature, and I think it definitely could fulfill a niche, but they just need to bring the price down. I think that the Gen 1 AA-12 should be about 70,000 rubles, and the Gen 2 AA-12 shouldn't be a barter, it should just be a straight purchase, and should only cost about 90,000 rubles. Also, give me a trader that sells me the 20 rounders for about 20,000 rubles. If they made these changes, then the AA-12 might be worth something. However, at the current prices, and how it feels, not even nostalgia can make me use this thing. Look, I want to love this weapon. I used it quite a bit back in the glory days of Modern Warfare 2 2009. I watched FPS Russia mow down a field of bottles with 2 of them at the same time. It's a cool weapon, but using it in Tarkov is like watching old highlight videos of Mike Tyson at his peak and then watching his performance against Jake Paul. It's just kind of sad. And that'll about do it for my analysis of the AA-12. Look, it could be an interesting weapon, they just need to bring the prices down, especially for the Gen 2. I am not paying an extra 200,000 rubles on top of an already overpriced weapon just so I can put a sight on it. That's freaking ridiculous. Anyways, if you are watching this right as it came out, then I am currently live on Twitch, so be sure to come say hi. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, especially all the way to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed. I am about to murder whoever is honking out there.